So welcome everyone to our Leader's Guide. Today we'll be talking about Count Ilban Richese. So Count Ilban is one of my favorite leaders, and today I think I'll be sharing with you some of my tips on how to play Count Ilban. I think Count Ilban is the first leader I posted a video on YouTube. So let's just jump right in. We'll be covering a few things. So the first we'll be covering is when to pick Ilban. And it's a bit of a spoiler, but when and we'll be learning how to play with the Mentat and also some of the goals of Ilban. So Ilban has a signet ring called Manufacturing, where every time you play the signet ring, you get one Solari. So to be honest, this is not amazing. His signet ring is one of the weaker ones in the game. It does synergize with his passive, but I think his passive is where his strength is at. So his passive is called Ruthless Negotiator, and it's amazing. So what it does is that every time you pay Solari for the cost of a board space, so it must be for the cost of the board space, you draw a card. So this is mainly for the green spaces on the board. And so what that means is that every time you go to the Mentat, instead of paying 2 to draw 1 card, you'll pay 2 Solari and you'll draw 2 cards. So you might not think this is much, but drawing 2 cards is insanely good. Compared to drawing 1, drawing 2 often is what you need in order for you to get the advantage early and buy the Spice Muscles late into the game. So if we are going to go to the Mentat a lot, what we want to have in our deck, right, is good on-play greens. So things like Firm Grip or Test of Humanity or Sardaukar Legion, these are very good cards to have in your deck. So as such, if you see these cards in your Imperium row, you can gravitate a little bit more to Ilban. So I talked about it briefly, but Mentat actually gives Ilban another high priority space on the board. So there are a lot of spaces in the board which all the leaders are trying to fight over. Things like interstellar shipping, research station, and selective breeding. However, Mentat offers Ilban something special. It gives him a space that is very powerful, right? That other people are not fighting over. So he can always go to Mentat and get a huge benefit. However, there are some leaders that actually do like to go to Mentat quite often. Things like Ikaz and Lito, or Yuna actually because Solari is cheap to her. These leaders like to go to Mentat a lot. So in general, Ilban doesn't like to play with them. So when should you pick Ilban? You should pick Ilban when there are good on-play greens. So once again, things like Firm Grip and Test of Humanity. And you want to be playing Ilban when the other leaders do not want to go to Mentat. So avoid leaders like Ikaz and Lito. However, to be honest, Ilban is pretty flexible and can always be picked. I personally prefer him in position 4. Position 4 is one of the best times to be picked because you have always a line of going to wealth and no one will really challenge you there. So learning to play in Mentat. So what Mentat allows you to do, right, is to every time you go to Mentat, you would most of the time use a dagger, right? So you swap out a dagger for 2 other cards. Okay. So what this results in is results into you having higher persuasion into your early buys. So I'll be referencing one game and I'll be posting a link to that game. I think the same time which I upload this video. So first of which is so my starting hand has 3 persuasion. This is assuming I don't play any of the persuasion cards. But if I play both faction cards, I go down to 2 persuasion, and that leaves me with a very bad buy round. So instead, if I go to wealth and then play my dagger, right, suddenly my persuasion becomes a lot higher. In this case, becomes 4 to 5 persuasion. Sure, I have one more action and I want to play the diplomacy, but then I can look at the cards that are in the Imperium row and see if I want to play my diplomacy or not. In this particular case, I do play my diplomacy because I think it's important to play it. I go down to 4 persuasion, and because everyone buys, Guild Ambassador reveals itself to me, and I'm able to pick it up for 4 persuasion. So this is even better in Immortality as you have the atomics. So when you have high persuasion, you can nuke the row and then buy whatever card is suitable to you. Okay, what else does Mentat allow you to do? So in the second round, this game, right, I have 2 experimentations, a convincing, a dagger, and reconnaissance. Because I was the first player, now when it comes around to me, there are no good experimentation spots, except the Great Flag, which has a +1 bonus. But I don't think +1 bonus on the Great Flag is a very good place to go to. As such, I'm left with a green and a reconnaissance, and I think one of the layers actually goes to Tech Negotiators already, so the green option is not very good. And then you have Reconnaissance, so I just go to Mentat and then I draw 2 cards. So instead, it lets me, instead of having to be forced to play my experimentation to a bad spot, I'm able to play the cards that I drew, which are Diplomacy and Signet Ring. So because I get to play my Diplomacy again, it gives me half a point whenever I play it. So this allows me to really push very hard onto friendships and alliances. Yeah, so now I'm able to play my Diplomacy and Signet Ring. So Mentat allows you to also fix your bad hands. So in the same game, this is the third round, I draw into double daggers and a Guild Ambassador. This, to a lot of leaders in the game, is unplayable. Even if you go to Mentat for other leaders, you still have 2 daggers in hand. However, because I'm Ilban, when I go to Mentat with my Guild Ambassador, I draw into my Diplomacy and my power play. This gives me 2 good options for me to play after going to Mentat. So this is something that Ilban does very well. You have a bad hand, but just going to Mentat fixes everything. So yeah, go to Mentat. And one of the last things I'll talk about is that Mentat also allows you to act last in combat. So the exact same round, because I'm Mentat, I eventually use my power play to go to full space to get to the second round and get a friendship with the Spacing Guild. And with my last Diplomacy, right, because Green puts in 3 troops when he goes to Kartek, and I'm the last to act, so everyone has already acted. I know vaguely what blue has in hand, red's not involved, and yes, green has some intrigue cards. But I'm able to just go to full space, put in 4 troops, which is more than what green has, and just put action on green. Ask green, do you have a combat intrigue? And if you don't, this combat is mine, right? So I'm able to pressure green in this way. And this only happens because you are last to act, right? And I'm able to put in more troops than green. So whatever advantage he has, I get to eat it up. And this is all given to me by Mentat. So Mentat is so strong in Ilban that it's a valid action. If you just take your first action for that round, go to Mentat. And this is not the case for many other leaders. Many other leaders, they don't really want to go to Mentat as a first action. There are other high priority spots on the board they want to go to, but Ilban can go to Mentat and feel very happy about his round. Enables him to get high persuasion to buy cards. He'll draw into his better cards, it fixes his hands, and gives him the ability to act last on the combats. So this means that he can act last either to win the combat or to limp in and get some second or third place rewards for very cheap. So what are the goals of Ilban? So one of Ilban's main strength is having an alternate pathway to the Spice Must Flow. So every time you buy in the Spice Must Flow with 9 persuasion, you get a point. So this is one of the ways where we reach endgame for Dune Imperium. You get the 9 persuasion and you buy the Spice Must Flow. So normally for most leaders, right, in order for you to buy the Spicemas Flow, you must have a combination of high council and a big draw. This is normally done through research station and selective breeding, which is why these two spots are very contested over in the later stages of the game. In the later stages of the game, like people always want to go to these two spots in particular. This is due to the Spicemas Flow and getting the 9 persuasion. However, Ilban can go to any of these 3 spaces and be happy because he can go to any of them and all of them will enable a Spicemas Flow. And if you look at all 3 of them, actually paying 2 Solari to go to Mentat actually is the cheapest. But even if he's blocked there, he can still go to the other 2. So how do we get to high persuasion? We get to high persuasion through either the high council or buying cards with naturally high persuasion, 2 or higher. So as such, we are looking for good on-play greens and if not, just liaisons. So all this will help work towards your Spicemas Flow. And as early as round 4, we should always check if you have the ability to buy a Spicemas Flow and work towards it. I think round 4, round 5 are rounds where you can comfortably buy the Spicemas Flow and be okay to have it in your deck. So, should you get Swordmaster as Ilban? Is Swordmaster one of your goals? So I actually did post a video on buying Swordmaster, and I think the same rules to that video applies. So what happens is that if you buy Swordmaster on round 3 or earlier, it's a very good Swordmaster. On round 4 it's still okay, there's still some value you get in terms of round 7, and if you buy it round 5, it's a very late Swordmaster and you don't really get any benefit. It's more or less neutral for spending 8 Solari, so you don't really get a benefit. So what you should be doing is you're buying it round 4 or earlier, and if you don't get it round 4 or earlier, you can consider not getting it at all. So this is similar to Ilban. So how will you be getting it? You'll be getting it if you manage to go to smuggling up and down. So this is the main way which I think Ilban gets Swordmaster, or you manage to win a combat, or you get a lot of Solari through the combats. So this Solari will then turn into a Swordmaster. So do keep these 2 options open to you, and if these pathways open up to you, do take these pathways to get Swordmaster. But in other cases, Swordmaster is something that you don't really need. I think going to Mentat alone is good enough. And that's all you have to do to play Count Ilban. Go to the Mentat spot often, and yeah, you'll win the game. And if you don't believe me, you can check out this video that I'm posting today. I think I used it as reference for today's guide, and I just played it this morning as well, and I think it inspired me to just finish up this guide. Likewise to I think the first video that I posted onto YouTube. You can check both of them out. Okay, so just go to Mentat spot with Count Ilban and you'll realize how easy it is to play this leader. And round 1 go Mentat, round 2 go Mentat, and keep going to Mentat. And you'll see why it's so powerful. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you think I'm bluffing you, please do check out the other videos. And happy duning. See you around.